Now, in order to iron this seam like we want it, I want the small side up. In other words, the larger block is on the bottom and then the small one is up. I'm going to set just the edge of the seam and then iron it open. I like to set my seams and then iron them open. This is the true test. And you can see if your points really look good. And mine look pretty good considering I'm doing a show. Then flip it over. Leave everything pressed to the outside except this very center big heavy knot. And do that like we did before. Just kind of make a crease in there. Iron this one to the outside. I know there are rules about pressing and this, that, and the other, but when it comes down to it, I want to do it in a way that works the best for the quilt. It's not going to show once you get it done, and it will be much easier to work with. And voila, we have our first block. To put the quilt together, I'm going to take my blocks and put them on my wall. I will take the sashing piece that I have cut the same width as the block, 3.5 by 12.5. I will put one in between each one. Then I will sew this one to the one below it, and this one to the one below it, and I will do that all the way down the row. And then I will take this 2-unit piece and sew it to this one until I have from this sashing piece all the way down to the bottom sashing piece all in one long strip. Then I will take my cornerstones, which are 3.5 by 3.5, and I will sew it to a sashing piece to another cornerstone to it the same way I just did that. All the way down, and I'll have one long skinny piece here. And I do that for each row and each sashing piece. Then I will take a sashing piece and hook it to a row, and a sashing piece and hook it to a row. Do this until you have all of those connected, and then take those and put them together until you have one unit in here. Don't try to use the same, don't try to keep adding to one piece and have a huge piece you're dragging around. Try to use like-sized pieces. When you get all of that done, you should have this whole center piece done. Always iron your seams toward the sashing. Even if it's the cornerstone, it's toward the sashing, and they will interlock. When you sew all of these units together, match the seams where you won't get the stair-step look when it's finished. And lastly, measure this center from left to right in the center. Measure it twice and cut once. And cut a piece of your border fabric that you've cut 5.5 inches wide and just put a lot of them together to make one long strip. Cut a piece for the top and the bottom. When you get that on, iron it toward the border. Then measure from the top to the bottom in the center. Measure twice and cut once. Write it down so you won't forget it. And attach that to the two sides, and your quilt top is finished. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you've learned to manage some of your seams and some of your intersections a little bit better, and learn how to break a few rules if you need to get a good quilt top. Until I see you again, happy quilting.